popularity, record stores are one of the most profitable businesses in the country. Today, these stores are places of comfort to all their clients, with records, CDs, and all kinds of cool music memorabilia. There's one particular store that has stuck around here in Michigan through all these times. Rick Leannais, owner of Dearborn Music, joins us today in the studio. Welcome to Celebrate Michigan, the show produced on the campus of Madonna University. I'm Chris Benson. Rick, it's such a pleasure to have you join us today.
Thank you, Chris. Let me start off talking about Dearborn Music.
Yeah.
Dearborn, we go by 1956, the year my father bought the business off another gentleman. And we can go back as far back as 43 from the phone book and how far the business actually has been around. Me and my brother purchased the business from my father in 2001. Over the years, we've carried several different. When my father first started, it was sheet music, guitar lessons, guitars, and instruments, 78s, 45s, LPs. Through the course of the year, I think around 77 was the last guitar in our shop. Dearborn Music's always changed their product to stay to be relevant.
Yeah.
83. Compact disc came around. Mm-hmm. We were one of the first stores to carry the compact disc into the Detroit area. Over the course of the years, LP, there's a resurgence right now with LPs, but LP was king up until, I want to say about 92, 93, then the CDs took its place. And CD was king until digital media in 2003 actually killed the compact disc, or actually started destroying the music industry. Between 2003 and 2008, some 3,500 record stores closed down. Independent record stores closed down in the United States.
Wow.
Now there was those were very lean times, and Record Store Day, which is we're celebrating the 15th year this year. That's what really helped save the industry. We saw the resurgence of vinyl start with the Record Store Day, and it's a celebration of independent record stores, and through most of it's vinyl that's unique, a variant color, or the first time a record's been out on vinyl, because all through the 90s they didn't make vinyl, and so people started collecting them, and so vinyl became very popular once again.
I have to tell you a personal memory of the store on Michigan Avenue. I think that we may have purchased the Michael Jackson Thriller album on vinyl there. I remember it used to be such an exciting day to know, like, okay, the record is going to come out this day. I'm going to get out of school. We're going to go to the store, and we're going to see if they have it. Like, do they have it for me? You know. And then, of course, as you've so eloquently outlined the history, I also was getting 8 tracks and cassette tapes and then CDs, and it's just changed so much.
Yes.
And when did you come to be involved with the business?
Well, during the 70s, I would always help my dad on weekends, help him take inventory, really not involved with the store. I started in 1988. I was 4 years out of college, 4 years out of high school, and I started working for him. And I started getting involved more on the day-to-day stuff. Me and my brother started doing more of the day-to-day stuff. So when my father decided, when he retired in 2001, we purchased the business from him. At first, like I'm like all the record store employees. I come in there, listen to a certain kind of music. I was listening to a lot of Springsteen. And through the course of my first year, I was turned on to so much different stuff by other employees or even customers coming in. The customers are very key to a store. They would tell me, "Hey, you got to listen to this guy. His name's Steve Earle." Who's Steve Earle? I'm sure no one here knows who Steve Earle is.
I do.
Okay, all right. Copperhead Road. And so my music taste is expanded, and it's yeah.
That would be a pretty awesome job back in the day to have right out of high school, because I remember thinking, oh my gosh, we're going to go to Dearborn Music. the cool people hang out there, and I'm gonna maybe I don't have any money and I can't afford it today, but at least I can come and flip through and see, and look cool. I remember having the, when it was vinyl, of course, organized, in the bins, and you'd sort through and see, okay, what's here, and can I afford it, and just so exciting. Not so much merchandise, but I was more interested in the music at the time, and it sounds like that was probably the experience that you had too. Just very excited about it.
Yes, yeah. I definitely love talking to the customers, learning different stuff. Especially some of the older gentlemen and ladies come in and they tell me different stories.
Yeah.
Last week, we always knew that Jimi Hendrix opened up for the Monkees. It was 8 shows, and she came in. She was selling some of her stuff, and she goes, "I was at that concert." I go,
oh my gosh!
And she was telling me, and we booed Jimi Hendrix off the stage because they were there to see the Monkees. That was the draw, and so Jimi Hendrix comes to Detroit and he gets booed off the stage. I mean, but the stories and learning about different music is a lot of fun.
I would definitely say that Dearborn music is a staple in the area, and would you say the same?
Yeah, I believe it's an institution, yes. And we were on the corner of Michigan and Monroe, which you were talking about. We were there for 54 years.
Yeah.
And your father brought you into the store for probably the first time, and it's been going on for generations. Is that my grandfather brought me. You hear it all the time. My grandfather brought me, and this is my first time. I'm bringing my son. And so it's got to be his first time at this record store.
And to see the generations come through, I imagine that's something that really gives you pride, and this probably gave your father pride too when he was in the store.
Oh yes. Definitely seeing everyone come in, even if they was just one trip a year at Christmas time. I'm back in town. I got to make a stop at Dearborn Music.
It's the experience. Okay, so I'm getting all nostalgic. We have to take a quick break, but when we get back, we'll talk more with Rick about how the pandemic affected the store, what he's seen change over the years, and we'll be right back. Stay tuned. You won't want to miss it.
There are no more closets.
Moms everywhere are finding ways to keep kids active and healthy. Get ideas, get involved, get going at letsmove.gov.
Do you like this top? It's so gay.
Really?
Yeah, it's totally gay.
You really shouldn't say that.
Say what?
Well, say that something's gay when you mean it's bad. It's insulting. What if every time something was bad, everybody said, "Oh, that's so girl wearing a skirt as a top"?
Oh, you are.
Those are cute jeans, though. When you say that's so gay, do you realize what you say? Knock it off.
Learning how to kickflip 6 stairs takes determination. So will getting into college. I've got what it takes. So do you.
You realize that 49 million Americans struggle with hunger? That's 1 out of every 6 Americans.
These people are around us every day. They're our friends, they're our coworkers, their kids go to school with our kids.
Sometimes we're not even aware that they're struggling. This problem is closer than you think. So is the solution.
play a role in ending hunger. Visit feedingamerica.org/hunger and find your local food bank.
Welcome back to Celebrate Michigan. I'm Chris Benson, and here today we're here with the owner of Dearborn Music, Rick Leannais, and we're going to talk a little bit about the store, and I want to talk about how the pandemic has affected small businesses like yours. So, Rick, how did things change for you March 2020?
It was rough. I mean, we had to let everyone go. It was just me and my son coming in every day to do online orders and answering the phones. We didn't know no one was going on, so
Right.
We had to come into the store every day. Basically, we didn't know what was going to happen. First day, we already had an online presence with at our store, and that's what really saved us. At the beginning of March, we had about 40 orders on third-party sites, like your Amazon, your eBays. Late March, early April, we're about 200 sales a day.
Wow.
And we just kept on getting more and more sales. What we found out is you had to entertain yourself. You had to do something, And if you bought a record, it's a new record. You got something new to listen to. To cheer you up, just get you in the mood. Later on, when everyone started going back, and we started, because me and my son couldn't come, do it by ourselves, and the store was actually opened up for a limited amount of people. It was the same thing going on. It was people were coming in and buying stacks of records. People had to work from home. They had to separate home from work. Mm-hmm. How do you do that? And no one wants to watch the news because they're not. I mean, you want to know something, but you don't want to watch the full hour or whatever.
Sure.
And so it was. At the beginning, it was rough, and then at the end, it just. May and June, it just started building momentum because people had to do something, Of course, later in the year, you still didn't have concerts, so all your entertainment money was going to a record store or going, even if they were just buying DVDs, just to watch something new and different. So it was very different for us. I know a lot of stores couldn't make it, but we were very fortunate. We already had an online presence on our store. Our website on one new release, it was a Jason Isabel record. We had 250 sales.
Wow!
And for Street Day, and we haven't had 250 new release, since the '90s. When like I say, when CDs were king. So it was very moving at some points.
It sounds like it was unexpected a bit too.
Yes, very unexpected, and we were, like you say, we were very fortunate of the industry that we were in, and we were able to, do stuff. I mean, at the end of I'd be working 6 hours at the store and driving back home, and I'd be working another 4 hours doing social media and stuff like that because I was the only one, and just trying to promote the store and just keep everything. Just make sure everyone knew that we were still there.
It sounds like whoever made that decision to have a robust online presence before the pandemic, that was the right business decision.
Oh yes,
for sure.
Yes, and it's still going strong right now.
Yeah. Even as we're coming out of it, okay, we're not going to say it's done yet, but we are coming out of it. But it sounds like people's interest I know vinyl is huge, and it sounds like people's interest has continued to stay. What do you attribute that to? What is it about vinyl that is different?
Well, vinyl, to me, when you put a piece of vinyl on, you're more into it because you have to set it on the platter. You have to bring the arm over, set the needle down. At the end of the, halfway through the album, you get up, you have to flip it. It's more intimate. Where a compact disc, where you just set it and go, to me, it's just background music. Even digital, just okay. It's just there,
Right,
But
right.
when you have a piece of vinyl, you get to put it on the platter, put the needle down. Even if you just sit down and just read the liner notes, because you can read them.
Yeah.
Yes. And I believe it's a big a big plus to it. Now everyone says vinyl sounds better. Well, it all depends on who you ask, and I'm gonna say, yeah, you're right.
Well, and I think it depends on your player too, because I do recall having a Mickey Mouse, literally a
Yes.
Disney Mickey Mouse record player back in the day. It did not sound better on that. But when I look at the machines you have in front of us here, I imagine the sound quality is probably very good.
Yes, the sound quality is much better than the Mickey Mouse player.
Yeah.
It was more of a toy.
Yeah.
But you got to be careful though. You got back in the 80s, the 60s, 70s, 80s, they were making music to be played back one way and one way only. LP was king. In the 90s, it's changed, and they went into the studio for it to be played back digitally. And so it all depends on when you take that piece of recording. You like the Nirvana Nevermind. That was meant to be played back on a compact disc, not on vinyl. They had to go back and make it sound better to put it on vinyl.
Wow.
So it's a trick that they have to do, and because they're using digital tape, then you're going to go to an analog, sound. It's going to sound different.
You're making me want to go back and actually listen to that on vinyl now, because I remember when it came out on CD. So
Yeah.
I'm going to have to do that. And I know people in our audience now are like, oh, maybe I should do that too. So
Yeah.
This is going by so fast, and we have to take another break. We don't want you to miss the rest of the show. We're going to talk about what's in store for the future for the store. And stay tuned. We'll be talking with Rick in just a minute. We'll see you then.
Yo, check out this chef, right? Right? That's so gay. That's really gay. Dude, look at those pants.
Please don't say that.
What?
Don't say that something is gay when you mean that something is dumb or stupid. It's insulting. It's like if I thought this pepper shaker was stupid and I said, man, and this pepper shaker is so 16-year-old boy with a cheesy mustache. Just saying. When you say that's so gay, do you realize what you say? Knock it off.
My name's Reggie. Just recently, my wife and I took in her sister's children. Now, we already had 4, so I went from becoming a family man to a man with a bigger family. Now, you can't eat love, so I don't know how I'm gonna feed them tonight. How was that, Rich?
I think I look more like Denzel.
That's cold, man.
Play a role in ending hunger. Visit feedingamerica.org/hunger and find your local food bank.
Welcome back to Celebrate Michigan. I'm Chris Benson, and we're in the studio today with Rick Leannais, the owner of Dearborn Music, talking about the future of the store and some special things that are coming up. First, though, I want to ask you to talk about the things you brought. You mentioned Nevermind, so I know we've got LP there. But what other things do you have on the table, and things can we find in the store?
Okay, I just brought a few records that I thought may interest everyone. I brought in the Marvin Gaye. Oh my God, I even forgot what the other two were.
Oh, very cool. I see Marvin Gaye, though. What's going on? That's amazing.
Yes.
That's just a classic. And there's so much going on in that song. And then when you hear it, there's just layer upon layer. It's awesome experience.
Yes. Then also brought in Neil Young, Harvest Moon, which is one of my favorite records. So I got to push that record.
Of course.
And the fourth one, I forgot. Oh, the Beatles. I forgot. You have to represent the Beatles.
Of course.
Yes.
I think when I think in our house we had Introducing the Beatles. I remember it was like a brown background. The four of them were on in the suits, and that was like the one, I'm sure, as a child, that I scratched the heck out of it, and my parents were probably very upset with me about it.
More than likely, I'm upset too that you scratched it.
Sorry. I know.
That's actually the Beatles. Introducing the Beatles is one of the most bootlegged records out there. So
it may still be in a basement somewhere in our family. So, and then you got some players here too.
Yes, I brought in a turntable. This is for young people who are just starting to get into it. This is a really good turntable. It's an Audio Technica LP60. With this turntable, instead of going with a receiver and speakers, you can use a powered speakers, which is an old computer speakers. If you had a desktop computer and you wanted music, those are the speakers you can use. So if you have those in the basement, you can use this turntable.
Oh my gosh, that's awesome.
I didn't bring a lot, just brought a few things in. Our store is really known for carrying all the genres. We carry classical, we carry jazz, blues, international, and that's one of the reasons why we were able to stay around, because we carried everything. And me personally, I love jazz and blues, and I didn't bring any, but there's a large department in our store.
Having been in your Farmington store, I can say I absolutely adore the irreverent and colorful socks. I love the patches that you have. You've got games. You've got all kinds of cool tchotchkes that I just spend. I'm calling it the $100 store because I can't leave without having a bunch of fun stuff. What are some other things you have in the store besides music?
We carry rock T-shirts, a lot of posters. We carry some. Our Dearborn store and Farmington store carry some local artists that like Dennis Lauren, who made those posters for the outside of the venue. And the replicas, but they're great because the replica of the original art. We have, of course, you mentioned the socks. What's the record store doing carrying socks? They're just fun.
Oh, they're awesome.
And it's what we try to do with the product. If it's not music related, we just make sure it's fun and that everyone can have a good time with it. Like you said, a record store it's community. People come in and they literally talk for half an hour with someone they don't even know about music and
it's an experience every time, and I never leave without something. I'm always taking something with me. I brought my mug today, so I'm all set.
Yeah.
So what is the future, do you think, for Dearborn Music?
Well, Dearborn Music's going to be around. Well, I have to make it to 75 years.
That's a goal, huh?
That's my role. I'll be, old enough to make it to 75. My son, one of my sons is involved. He's actually running the Farmington store. And so we're trying to make that transition if that's right for him. If he doesn't want it that way, we'll be around somehow. Mm-hmm. We know that the vinyl business, because the companies can't keep up with demand, the supply is just terrible right now. Wow. We know it's going to be around, vinyl is going to be around for another 10, 15 years. Mm-hmm. The compact disc, we're not so certain on that. Anytime that there's a new car coming out, they launch a new model, no CD player.
Yeah.
What's up with that? You know?
Right.
Everybody wants navigation. No, I want music.
Yeah. Or I remember having the 6 CD player in the, that I had added in after, was amazing. So.
Yeah, that was in the
trunk. That's right.
Yeah,
That's right.
Yeah. So, yeah, we plan on being around as long as possible.
Mm-hmm.
Do I see another store? Quite possible. We just don't know. So.
Well, I'm delighted there's one in Farmington. I have to tell you, it is a place I love to go.
Yeah.
Where can our viewers find you? Website, social media, where can they find you at?
Okay, we're at dearbornmusic.net on the web, and there's some pretty fun stuff there. You'll see a lot of indie exclusives on that web page, and we're trying to get all of our T-shirts on there and stuff like that. I think it's Facebook, Dearborn Music, and also on Instagram.
And I've noticed you have a lot of good social media. I mean, I see you a lot, so you're doing a great job on that too.
After the pandemic, I didn't want to do it ever again, so I hired someone.
That was smart. It's working.
Yes,
it's working. And I'm sure you have, I know you have special days that you have. What are some of the special days you have throughout the year at the store or events?
Okay. We briefly touched on Record Store Day. That's an annual event, and that's the 3rd Saturday of April. And they also have one they don't call it Record Store Day, but they call it, it's Friday after Thanksgiving. There are some special releases on that day. I think we had 350 in April on Record Store Day. On Friday on Thanksgiving, there's about 110.
I saw the line forming outside the store that day. I remember it. I drove by and I said, okay, there's something happening today, so now I know.
Yeah. And then, we always have a, Christmas sale going on, or a holiday sale. Father's Day and grads is another big time, another big sale for us. Well, so yeah.
It's always a good time to go to Dearborn Music, is I think what I'm hearing.
Yes. Oh, yes. Even if you can't find something for yourself, you can find something for someone else. Yeah.
I can always find something for my dad there, for sure.
Yeah.
Rick, thank you for coming on the show with us today and talking all about the store. I can tell it's a family love, and we're so glad that your family got involved.
Thank you, Chris.
Thank you. And thank you for watching and helping us celebrate all the great things in Michigan, in this wonderful Mitten State. We'll see you next time on Celebrate Michigan.